Today, I'd like to talk to you about NASA's federal funding, or rather lack thereof. But before I begin, I'd like to start with a quote that I think is particularly illustrative of the monumental strides that we have made as a society over the past half-century or so. And it goes as follows: to place a man in a multi-stage rocket, project him into a gravitational field of the moon, where passengers may make a scientific observation, perhaps later life. All that constitutes a wild dream worthy of Jules Verne, and I for one am bold enough to say that such a world will never take place, regardless of all future advances. Now, Lee De Forest, an American radio pioneer and inventor of the vacuum tube, said these words in 1957. And as we all know, Lee De Forest was proven horribly wrong, because in 1969, just 12 years after he made his bold prediction, we sent men to the moon. They landed and they returned. To those who were lucky enough to witness it, the moon landing represented a complete redefinition of what is and isn't possible. I mean, there were people walking on the different world just 12 years after the best and brightest for us through in was more akin to a science fiction novel than of the page of reality. And it is tumultuous, and in this tumultuous time, we naturally turn towards the future. The wonders it would behind the cars of tomorrow, the homes of tomorrow, the food of tomorrow, the sudden bursts of progress that the moon landing brought, galvanized our nation to dream of the future. But as we stand here in 1914, it appears through our tomorrow never came. Our cars cannot fly, our houses are exactly the same, and any realistic hopes of man's mission to Mars are at least decades away. So what happened? Well, each day, each month, each year, each decade, inching closer to that mission tomorrow, we stop dreaming, we stop progressing, and we forgot that in order to fight for the tomorrow that we want for ourselves, we have to fight for it today. Here in the USA, the most powerful agency in the list of the nation is currently underfunded to do what it needs to do, and that is to make tomorrow happen. Of course, I'm speaking of the agency that first brought us to space, or first brought us to the moon and began mankind's exploration into space, NASA. Right now, NASA education and planetary science funding is being decimated. We are not going back to the moon, and we are ironically had to rely on the Russians for a transport to and from the International Space Station. But as our politicians are constantly slicing NASA's budget, treating it as little more than an expensive science project. They hide underneath the familiar cover that we simply can't afford. If I accomplish nothing else today, I want to live here knowing that you know the falsity of that statement, because right now NASA's budget only represents 0.4% of our country's discretionary spending. 0.4%, that's the 4/10 of a single penny. 4/10 of a single penny of every tax dollar. So when they say that we cannot afford NASA, they are wrong. We can afford NASA. In fact, we cannot afford to not fund NASA. We need NASA. As we sit here today, wondering when the technologies of tomorrow are coming, we need NASA. As we sit here today, seeing our country fall behind nearly every scientific field, we need NASA. As we sit here today, grasping that the fundamental question of our existence in place of the universe, we need NASA. We need NASA because it touches our life in more way than many would imagine. I mean, sure, there are the very tangible benefits to NASA. Let's realize that we all so lovingly use infrared air thermometers that are now commonplace in hospitals. The groovings in the concrete that reduce sleeping, chemical detecting assistance, firefighting equipment, writing, baby food, portable cordless vacuums, freezing dry, temple predict phone, all things that are a direct result of NASA. So by not funding NASA, now we are we are specifically depriving ourselves of the future technology that would shape our economy and our future society, but even more. So that I think that the intangible benefits of NASA are even more important for for when Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon on July 1969, we accomplished something that had never been done in the history of our species, and that exhilaration, that rush of excitement bounded of words propagating through society and came back at us. It inspires us to solve other problems that also hadn't been solved yet. It increases the, the general sense of optimism in our society, but more importantly, it inspires it inspires and then cultivated the next generation of scientists that make tomorrow happen. The next generation of scientists, engineers, mathematicians, physicists, geologists, all these people that make tomorrow happen. But after that initial surge forward in 1969, especially with the end of the Cold War, we took our foot off the gas pedal and cried, mission accomplished, letting both man's foray into space and NASA fall on our list of priorities. And I think this is a great grievous mistake. One that we might not even recognize right now, and one that could potentially halt our country and our species from reaching our alluring tomorrow. All hope is not lost, however, as with the Spanish writer Miguel Cervantes once said, if you wish to build a ship, don't drown up the men together with the great work and give order. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. So if you truly wish to for this alluring tomorrow, if we truly wish for this progress, then our course of action is set, and you can help. You must teach those around us of the NASA, and tomorrow is worth fighting for. We must teach them to yearn for progress that currently unachievable is not impossible. And this task, as doubting as it might seem, doesn't have to be solved by us alone. There are plenty of organizations such as Penny for NASA whose sole mission it is to increase NASA funding to 1% of the federal budget. That's one penny out of every tax dollar, and that one penny would be enough to go back to the moon, to search for the asteroids and explore them, and go to the Mars soon with people. So one penny is all we are asking for. And we are more of us to us the higher chance we have that someone will listen. I cannot promise you that we'll be successful in this mission, but I don't know that if we don't even try to are guaranteed to fail. And I believe that this is an issue that it's simply too important for us not to try. So please join my to Penny for NASA and go to pennyfornasa.org and help sign the petition and help increase NASA's funding. Tell your friends, write your congressman, tell anyone who listens that tomorrow NASA in the future is worth fighting for. But most importantly, educate yourself about NASA's goals, what its mission are and how they are being held back. If we can do this, if we can come together for the good of mankind, I promise you that we can bring ourselves both figuratively and literally to the stars. Thank you for listening.